Hi guys, so today we're going to go over writing a hyperbola in standard form when it's given in general form. So as you can see, the given equation is in general form, and our first step, because we are going to complete the square, is to just put together the like variables. So we have x squared and we have 6x. And then for the y values, we have minus 4y squared minus 8y. So remember, when completing the square, one of the first steps is to move the constant c to the other side of the equal sign, because the next step after that is we're going to create our own value of c. So this 1 is going to be moved over to the other side, and so our new equation is going to equal 1. So from here, we're going to complete the square. Again, the a value should be 1 when completing the square. So make sure you have the steps for completing the square in the other help video. Since a is 1, I can start by determining what c is. So there is a formula for c. C is equal to b over 2 squared. So we're treating each one like its own, each variable like its own equation where we're completing the square. So in this case, b would be 6. So 6 over 2 squared would be 3 squared, and that would give us 9. So we're going to add 9 as our new value of c. But keep in mind, you can't just add a value to one side of the equal sign. Remember, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So with that equals -1, we're also going to add 9 there to balance our equation. And then for the y value, we do have an additional step, because notice that the a value, meaning the coefficient of y squared, is not going to be 1, so we're going to have to factor that out. So if I factor -4 out of -4y squared, I'm just left with y squared. If I factor -4 out of -8y, so I'll divide them out, -8y divided by -4, that will give me +2y. So I'm going to write plus 2y. And now that my a value in the parentheses, meaning the coefficient of y squared, is 1, I can find the new value of c. Again, c equals b over 2 squared. So b for the y value is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 1 squared would give me 1. So I'm going to add 1 to this side. Again, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. But be very careful when you have a GCF, because technically, if I were to distribute this -4, I wouldn't be adding 1 to this left side of the equal sign. I would be adding 1 times -4, which is -4. So that means whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So watch that GCF. Make sure that if there is a GCF, you not only add the C, you add the C times the GCF. All right, so we're going to start factoring. The nice thing about completing the square is you already know the two parentheses are going to be the same. So there is a shortcut, but you can always do multiply first times last. I need two numbers that multiply to be 9 and add up to be 6. And the two numbers are 3 and 3. So I'm going to rewrite it as x plus 3 squared. The shortcut is that you can take the square root of the last term to know what the number would be. And as long as b is positive, it's a plus. B is negative, it would be minus. For the y value, same thing when you're factoring. So we're going to write y, and since b is positive, we can write plus, and then we'll take the square root of the last term, c, which is 1. Equals 2, the other side of the equal sign should give me 4. So keep in mind, you don't have to factor it using that shortcut. You can always factor it just the normal way, multiply first times last. Need two numbers that multiply to be 1 and add up to be 2. So we're almost there with the equation of the hyperbola. So it is factored, completed square on the left side. The only thing, remember, in a hyperbola standard form, it should equal to 1. So since our equation equals to 4, I'm going to divide 4 onto both sides. And remember, whatever you do to one, you do to each one. All right, so from here, we're going to just rewrite our equation. The right side does equal to 1. Notice here that the 4 and the 4 divide out, so that gives me 1. So I'm going to rewrite this as x plus 3 squared over 4 minus y plus 1 squared over 1. And I'm almost there with the equation. Only one thing left. Since it now equals to 1, remember the denominator should be in terms of a number squared. So to make it equal to 4, I'm going to rewrite the denominator as 2 squared. To make the other denominator 1, I'm going to write that denominator as 1 squared. So kind of make a note of that because we are going to go to the next page. So we have x plus 3 squared over 2 squared minus y plus 1 squared over 1 squared equals to 1. And what you can do is you can always put the standard form of a hyperbola right underneath it. X minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared equals to 1. So you can know what value represents what. So in this case, if I look in the parentheses in the numerator, I have h and k. And so I know that h and k is equal to -3, -1, because it's always the opposite sign. And that's my center for the hyperbola. So I'm going to write a little c there to notate that. And then from there, if I look at the value of a, which is the distance from the center to the vertex, notice that it's also under the x value. So I know that it'll go 2 units to the left and 2 units to the right. And then from there, I can just kind of sketch the hyperbola. And you can also use Desmos to check. Sorry, I'm out of room, so that one kind of got away from me. But remember, you can always use Desmos to check your graph to make sure that you graphed it correctly given the equation. All right, guys, hope this helps.